HIV infects CD4 cells. Again, you have to see the picture and check the pathogenesis. So once attached to CD4 cells, the HIV infects CD4 cells and mainly T helper lymphocytes, monocytes, macrophages, dendritic cells, and microglia cells in the CNS. The entry into the cell membrane with binding of GP120 to the CD4 receptor. So results in the conformational change in the GP120 that permits binding to chemokine 4 receptors, CXCR4 and CCR5. So this results in the membrane fusion and cellular entry, and there is reverse transcriptase enzyme which converts RNA to DNA and integrates with host genome, and there will be viral replication. So these drugs, antiviral drugs, retroviral drugs acts at different levels depending on this pathogenesis. So fusion inhibitors and integrase inhibitors, so like that. So you can see the picture at various levels. These red marks indicates action of retroviral drugs. So see that red marks, fusion inhibitors and chemokine receptor antagonists and reverse transcriptase inhibitors and integrase inhibitors and protease inhibitors. So at different levels the drugs are used and combined antiretroviral therapy is used. So mainly, so pathogens, you first see the pathogens, how the virus is matured. So infects mainly cells and replicates virus in the body and persistent in the lymphoid organs. So main site of replication is lymphoid cells and lymphoid organs. So pathophysiology and pathogenesis of the HIV. So there is number of mechanisms responsible for cellular depletion and immune dysfunction of CD4 T cells have been demonstrated in vitro. This include direct infection and destruction of the cells by the HIV and indirect effects such as immune clearance of infected cells, cell death associated with aberrant immune activation, and immune exhaustion due to aberrant cellular activation. So patient with CD4 T cells, so mainly CD4 T cells are involved. So there is impaired cell-mediated immunity, that they are more prone for infections, and more many opportunistic infections are common in HIV patients. Patients with CD4 T cell levels below certain variety of opportunistic diseases, particularly infections and neoplasms that are some features of AIDS, such as composite Patients with CD4 T cells below certain threshold are at high risk for developing variety of opportunistic diseases, particularly the infections and neoplasms that are AIDS-defining illnesses. Some features of AIDS, such as Kaposi sarcoma and certain neurological abnormalities, cannot be explained completely by the immunodeficiency caused by HIV infection, since this complication may occur prior to the development of severe immunological impairment. Primary infection and initial dissemination of virus. The mucosal barrier is relatively effective in limiting the access of HIV to the susceptible targets in the lamina propria, but the virus can cross the barrier by transport on Langerhans cells just beneath the surface of or through microscopic rents in the mucosa. Significant disruptions in the mucosal barrier, as seen in ulcerative genital disease, facilitate viral entry and increase the efficiency of infection. That's why in sexually transmitted infections and genital ulcers and anal ulcers facilitate HIV infection. So that's why sexually transmitted disease should be promptly treated to prevent the HIV. So unprotected intercourse and anal intercourse are more susceptible to HIV transmission. This is the mechanism of entering of HIV cells and infection of the infecting dendritic cells and other lymphocytes, macrophages and dendritic cells, which and there is a dissemination of virus and establishment of lymphoid tissue, viral reservoir, and immune activation, and sustained HIV infection, sustained HIV production. So there is continuous production of HIV virus. So initial dissemination of virus, once infection is established, the virus replicates in the lymphoid cells in the mucosa, submucosa, and lymphatics that drain the gut tissues. For a very variable period of time, the virus cannot yet be detected in the plasma. This period is referred to as the eclipse phase of infection. More virus is produced later, then it is detectable by currently available assays. So the gut-associated lymphoid tissue is a major target of HIV infection, and where large number of CD4 T cells are infected and depleted. Once virus replication reaches this threshold, virus is widely disseminated and infection is firmly established, and the process is irreversible. Initial dissemination of virus. Transmitting virus, often referred to as founder viruses, are usually underrepresented in the circulating viremia of the transmitting partner and are less divergent viruses. Once replication proceeds in the newly infected partner, the founder virus diverges and accumulates glycosylation sites and becomes progressively more resistant to neutralization. Initial dissemination of virus. The acute burst of viremia and the wide dissemination of virus in primary HIV infection may be associated with acute HIV syndrome, which occurs to varying degrees in 50% of individuals with primary infection. Virtually all patients develop some degree of viremia during primary infection, which contributes to virus dissemination throughout the lymphoid tissue, even though they may remain asymptomatic or not recall experiencing symptoms. Establishment of chronic and persistent infection. HIV infection is unique among human viral infections. Once infection has been established, the virus succeeds in escaping complete immune-mediated clearance and is never eliminated completely from the body. It is this establishment of chronic persistent infection that is the hallmark of HIV disease. Escape of HIV from effective immune system control. Evades both humoral and cell-mediated immunity. Mechanisms for evading cell-mediated immunity are establishment of sustained level of replication associated with generation of viral diversity via mutation and recombination. Initially, strong response becomes qualitatively dysfunctional due to overwhelming immune activation, and there is exhaustion of CD8 cytotoxic T lymphocytes and downregulation of HLA class 1 molecules on the surface of HIV infected cells. There is reversal of ratio of CD4 and CD8 plus CTL cells. So there is an increased CD8 plus cells and decreased CD4 cells. Mechanisms for evading humoral immunity are hypervariability in the primary sequence of the envelope, extensive glycosylation of envelope, and there is conformational masking of neutralizing epitopes. Advanced HIV disease in untreated patients or in patients in whom therapy has not adequately controlled virus replication. The CD4 T cell count falls below critical level, less than 200 per microliter. The patient becomes highly susceptible to opportunistic disease. The depletion of CD4 T cell continues to be progressive and unrelenting in this phase. It is not uncommon for CD4 T cell counts in the untreated patient to drop as low as 10 per microliter or even to 0. In countries where a combined antiretroviral therapy and prophylaxis and treatment for opportunistic infections are readily accessible to such patients, survival is increased and dramatically even in those patients with advanced HIV disease. Next to some. Slides. 30 సంవత్సరాలు ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ చెప్పాను ఇది ఫస్ట్ దీన్ని సెకండ్ ఇది కాదు రెండు ఒకటి ఉన్నాయా రెండు ఒకటి డౌన్లోడ్ clinical manifestations Before going to clinical manifestations, how to diagnose HIV? So mainly, you have to diagnose by the ELISA test, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, and Western blot test, which is costly, and next PCR test. So next, what are the clinical manifestations of HIV? The clinical consequences of HIV infection encompass a spectrum ranging from an acute syndrome associated with primary infection to a prolonged asymptomatic state to advanced disease. So acute virus replication and progressive immunological impairment occur throughout the course of HIV infection in most patients. So there is 50 to 70% of individuals with HIV infection experience an acute clinical syndrome 3 to 6 weeks after primary infection. So there is several symptoms of acute HIV syndrome: fever, skin rash, pharyngitis, myalgia occur, but which is less frequent in those infected by injection drug use. Actually, those infected by sexual contact are more prone for these symptoms: fever, skin rash, pharyngitis, and myalgia, compared to those infected by injection drug use. What are the clinical findings in the acute HIV syndrome? General fever, pharyngitis, lymphadenopathy, headache, retroorbital pain, arthralgias, myalgias, lethargy, malaise, anorexia, weight loss, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, neurologically, meningitis, encephalitis, peripheral neuropathy, myelopathy, dermatological erythematous maculopapular rash, mucocutaneous ulceration. So, what is acute HIV syndrome? So once HIV enters into the body, 3 to 6 weeks, after 3 to 6 weeks, there is plasma viremia, and which leads to acute syndrome, and there is retracting of lymphocytes, which in turn leads to 1 week to 3 months. There is immune response to HIV, so there is curtailment of plasma viremia, and after 1 to 2 weeks, patient was in clinical latency, and gradually there is chronic persistent infection in lymphoid tissue. So once HIV enters into the body, at least there is 10 years to manifest symptoms. So full-blown HIV is after 10 years once virus enters into the body. So AIDS is full-blown acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. HIV positive means once virus enters into the body, but AIDS is full-blown. So acute HIV infection. A number of immunological abnormalities accompany the acute HIV syndrome. The number of total lymphocytes and T cell subsets CD4 plus and CD8 plus are initially reduced. There is inversion of CD4 plus and CD8 T cell ratio because of rise in number of CD8 T cells. So there is lymphadenopathy in 70% of the individuals with primary HIV infection. Most patients recover spontaneously from this syndrome, and many are left with only a mild depressed CD4 T cell count that remains stable for a variable period before beginning its progressive decline. In some individuals, the CD4 T cell counts returns to the normal range. The asymptomatic state, clinical latency. So all the length of time from initial infection to development of clinical disease varies greatly. The median time for the untreated patient is 10 years. Rate of disease progression is directly correlated with HIV RNA levels. During the asymptomatic period of HIV infection, the average rate of CD4 T cell decline is 50 per microliter per year. When the CD4 T cell count falls to less than 200 per microliter, the resulting state of immunodeficiency is severe enough for opportunistic infection and neoplasms, hence for clinically apparent disease. Symptomatic disease. Symptoms of HIV disease can appear at any time during the course of HIV infection. The most severe and life-threatening complications of HIV infection occur in patients with CD4 T cell counts less than 200 per microliter. A diagnosis of AIDS is made in the individuals aged 6 years and older with HIV infection and a CD4 T cell count less than 200 per microliter stage 3, and in anyone with HIV infection who develops one of the HIV associated diseases. So there are diseases, almost every system in the body is affected due to HIV, including respiratory system, CNS system, cardiovascular system, skin, and GIT, and every system is affected. Skin is affected. There is Kaposis sarcoma and lymphomas are common in the HIV patients, and central nervous system and peripheral nervous system is also affected, and opportunistic infections are more common due to decreased CD4 count, common in the HIV patients.